Okay, so in this segment, we have found 3 polyps. This is the most distal one that comes through a fold, touches a second one. And is located in the distal/mid transverse. Has a Paris of 2A, probably has also a component that is more than 2.5, so maybe 2A1S. Yeah.
That's one to match.
Oh. And also 2 more proximal.
So the other 2 you have shown already as I was walking to here, probably.
No.
Can we show the other 2?
Yeah, of course. So we are in the mid transverse, approaching proximal transverse colon.
Is this one of the 3?
Yeah, this is the middle one.
Okay.
And there is one more 2 folds proximal to this that is half the size, I guess, or a little smaller than this one.
A little smaller than this one. So I've had to push the scope in quite a bit to get this angle on it, right? Because you see the sort of looping that's going on here to get this, and this can be the case in the mid-transverse to get this. Okay, so I'm pretty convinced that this is all right. Flat, Paris 0-2A, no demarcation zone, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's come back then. That sort of thing can take a long time. I mean, I think we're illustrating that. Okay, we now control the tip. You think you need to push the scope in a little bit more, get us into that area a bit more. I've torqued anti-clockwise. Right, this looks pretty, whoa. This looks pretty good. Okay, so I would ask for slow closure now. Follow it with the snare. So during the STSC, one of these big vessels, hold the scope please, has been damaged. They are relatively big and bulky. You can see the culprit there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Tip out. We haven't really seen in there, and it speaks to the fibrosis that was here before that we really just cannot see in there. Even with a cap, even with water, we cannot see in that space easily.
And the final thing, which I thought was really quite a nice example, you did fantastically well. There was a beautiful resection, and we've got this little bit of tissue in the middle. And I said, this is a great example of Anderson sign. And I have an increasing belief that what happens is you get blood supply coming up. And at some point in time, if the polyp has become malignant and changes, you're going to get some form of adhesion molecule or molecular change. And when you review the video, you'll see the first image of the polyp looks a bit like this, right? We've got a really good view. It's at 6 o'clock. Everything looks perfect. But, and it is a big but, you've got a fold here and you've got a plane in this direction. You've got a fold here and another fold here in this direction. And they're at 90 degrees to each other. And you've almost certainly got, because of the size of the polyp and the location, some submucosal changes. And they consisted of both fat and possibly a little bit of fibrosis. Everything else is learning. Learning how to deal with a different situation, learning to adapt your strategy, learning about how careful you got tip manipulation. So that all that stuff is dynamic, but there are consistent things, which is being very precise about where you put things, being very precise about where you inject things, make the decisions you're making are very conscious ones, understanding the pros and cons of everything you're doing. And those are the things that you should learn. And one of the first things I said earlier on was that the outcome, both in the short and long term, is the key thing for the patient. Everything else is learning. Learning how to deal with a different situation, learning to adapt your strategy, learning about how careful you got tip manipulation. So that all that stuff is dynamic, but there are consistent things, which is being very precise about where you put things, being very precise about where you inject things, make the decisions you're making are very conscious ones, understanding the pros and cons of everything you're doing. And those are the things that you should learn. And the rest of it, unfortunately, some of it is experiential, because David's practice seems to reflect a lot of mine, where it's rare for me to get something normal. So I'm forever adapting what I do to enable the outcome to be the right thing for the patient and everyone else involved. So I congratulate you on the end result. I agree with David. That is the key thing, is the end result, and everything else is just learning.